Well, it's been 24 hours, less than 24 hours since I saw Longlegs, and I might be obsessed. I cannot get this movie out of my head. It is intoxicating. So, anyway, we're going to do all the spoilers. So, Longlegs, all the spoilers. Let's go. What's up, guys? Welcome to all the spoilers for Longlegs. I promised you I was going to do this because in that review, it's just one of those reviews where you can't really tell that much. I didn't want to give anything away because I wanted you guys to have the experience that I did and really enjoy it. And I did bitch about an annoying movie patron, the girl that was sitting in front of me. And you know what? She's not the worst. I've seen far worse, and that was literally like 2 occurrences, and I could deal with it. But this was a special movie, and this was outside of that event, completely silent theater. Like, you could hear a pin drop. Everyone was invested in this movie. It was completely packed, which is a rarity these days. It's nice when you go into a packed theater. And I think that just made the experience that much better. This wasn't a bad theater experience. I wouldn't file it under that at all. I had that one little hiccup, but you know, she was respectful. She shut it off, and I get it. Sometimes you gotta post a TikTok or Instagram right in the middle of the movie, like Longlegs. But you know, I digress. I brought my A&W root beer for this one. Not being sponsored by A&W. I just like root beer. I'm just a boy. Now, I did, as I often do, I posted on X after, because it's already a divisive film. I'm seeing that immediately. There are people, of course, somebody called this movie complete trash. And, you know, everybody has differing expectations when they go into any movie, I guess. But to call a movie like this, of this caliber, trash, is absolutely, I mean, you're calling it what you would call Madam Web. So, automatically, I can't take you seriously when you call this trash. If you say it wasn't for me, I didn't like it. And the other thing was, it wasn't scary. And you know what? I'm going to cut you guys some slack on that one because the marketing. Yes, the marketing said this is like the scariest movie in a decade. I never fall for that bullshit, okay? The reason being is because they do that not for you and me. Us horror fans, you know how we're talking to each other right now. They don't do that for us. They know that they're not going to scare us. Was this movie creepy? Absolutely. This is one of the creepiest movies I've seen in a while. But did it scare me? No. No, nothing. I haven't been scared like legit, like I'm losing sleep from a movie since 1988. Okay, I've been shaken up a little bit when I saw like the end of Blair Witch Project, but I don't expect that to happen almost ever again. Maybe once or twice before I set sail and leave this earth. It's not going to I don't go into horror movies to lose sleep at night. I go into them to be entertained by a really great story and great direction, great acting, everything. You know, the whole, just like any other genre of film, okay? I don't bear weight on a movie if it isn't quote-unquote scary. I think it's a bullshit term for horror fans. That term is for Joe Sixpack. The guy that's not really a horror, or girl that's not really a horror fan. You know, they want to watch a movie on a Friday night. Ooh, this one says it's going to scare us, right? It's marketing, guys. That's all that is. It's marketing. So don't ever think that that movie is going to legitimately make you lose sleep. And if it does, it's a bonus, okay? Look at it that way. But is it a great film? That's all subjective. I'm not here to gatekeep. I did a video about gatekeeping on Extra. Check that out. I don't gatekeep. You love what you love, and I love you for it. All right? I will always love you. You have my heart, okay? For whatever you love that I hate, I don't care. I love you. Listen to your Uncle Lee, all right? Uncle Lee loves you. He doesn't hate you. He's not going to gatekeep you. Nah, not Uncle Lee. I should do more spoiler reviews. I like to let my hair down and put my beanie cap on for these. Jumping into the movie Longlegs, now I can talk about everything. Yes, Nicolas Cage, they showed him, I think, just the right amount of time. I think Nicolas Cage might be the one element of this movie that makes it divisive, because I watched a couple of friends' reviews on this one. Some that loved it, some that didn't like it that much. And I think Nicolas Cage was a big factor in that. You know, your mileage may vary, but his performance in most movies well, not most movies, but a lot of his movies, he does really go for it with his performances, and he can be quite wild at times. He surprised me with this, and it's hard for a Nicolas Cage to surprise me in this day and age, but I'll just put it this way. From that opening scene when he walks into frame and, you see half his head framed, and just his mannerisms, just the way he talked in that scene, it wasn't Nicolas Cage. It was Cobbler. It was Longlegs. And that is a great actor. Somebody that's like one of the biggest actors working today. People in other countries know his name, but immediately he's not Nicolas Cage. He is Cobbler. That put me at ease. From that moment on, for the next 2 hours, I wasn't watching Nicolas Cage. I was watching this really deranged character that is almost like a vessel for Satan. That's what he is. And I like that they don't really give you too much about Longlegs as a character. I like that he is sort of a question mark. There's so much that we don't know about this character, but we do know that he is purely and simply evil. He's crazy. One thing about Nicolas Cage's performance that I really did love is his delivery of his lines. And I think there are definitely a couple of iconic moments, some lines that we might hear down the line after all the dust settles for this movie, when he says, "You are the dark."
I know you're not afraid of a little bit of dark. Because you are the dark.
Immediately that reminded me of like Heath Ledger's Joker. And not to say that he sounds anything like Heath Ledger's Joker, but he just had a couple of deliveries in this movie that were, chilling. Really sent a chill down your spine. But more importantly, that could live on. There's a couple lines in this movie that could definitely live on, and "You Are the Dark" is definitely one of them. There's a big supernatural element to this movie too. If you notice that there are dolls throughout this movie. I like the murder mystery movies where you have the young pup, the young FBI agent that's scared shitless, kind of like Silence of the Lambs, Jodie Foster's character, Clarice. She was a young whippersnapper, very motivated, but she's still very green, wet behind the ears. And putting her feet to the fire. That's a term that we used to use in the military. Taking somebody that has zero experience and just pushing them into the flames. I think that's such a great premise, and I think that's why we see that premise so often in these types of movies. It's fun to watch how a green character will react. And they put Lee Harkin immediately up to the fire when she and her partner, she gets this instinct like he's in that house. She can automatically like feel it, feel his presence. And then her partner comes up. You don't expect it, but her partner is shot in the head right away. And that was a nice surprise, and it kind of set the tone for the movie too, because I knew that this wasn't going to be a jump scare type movie. It's not that type of movie at all. I wasn't expecting to just have this boisterous, loud reaction every 15 minutes from a mysterious creature creeping up on a character from behind. And maybe some tricky lighting and everything. No, the whole movie just has such an undercurrent of dread, and you never feel at ease. And if I could give some mad credit to a movie that I didn't like at all, I would say this is what Skinamarink should have been. Skinamarink, I think it did hold that feeling throughout the hour and 40 minutes of the movie, but just nothing happened. This was an actual story that, had a start, middle, and an end, had great characters, but it also had that feeling that you got from Skinamarink all throughout, and that's because of Oz Perkins' brilliant direction. I need to check out his other two films that I haven't seen, Gretel and Hansel, and there was another one. I have seen Black Coat's Daughter, which is really great. I love that movie to death. This actually made me want to go back and watch Black Coat's Daughter again, because you can really compare these two films in overall tone and vibe. They're both slow burns with a focus on story and character building, and then they both have similar final acts that that's where they unleash like the blood and the craziness, and they really just leave a chill down your spine, and you can't get them out of your head. Like I said in the intro, I have not been able to rid myself of this movie, and I think I might be obsessed with it. Like, I need to go see it again, like almost immediately. I want to experience that again, that feeling that this movie gave me. I almost feel sad for people that didn't like this movie at all. Like, I want them to experience what I'm still feeling right now. Movies can do that to us, and it's not that often that it happens. You know, I'm not going to get this feeling from Deadpool versus Wolverine, and that's a different type of feeling, and it's probably going to be really fun. But this is why I love horror. You know, Longlegs is the reason I am such a horror nut. You know, I'm constantly just chasing that rush. This movie gave me that rush. But back to the plot, I did talk about, like, the dolls in this movie. There are a few instances where there is a family murdered, which made me think of, like, Manhunter. You know, how the killer, he murders families. But what was interesting and what we didn't know until the end of the movie was that Longlegs, he was never in there. They compared this to, like, you know, the Manson family. So he had that type of vibe, but there was more of a supernatural aspect because of, I guess, the doll. Like, he would create these dolls of, like, one of the family members. And that doll was like a satanic vessel. And, you know, jumping to the very end of the movie, when you see Blair Underwood and his family in there, that was brilliant because they did such a great job of building, you know, Blair Underwood's character and his family, and they did that for a reason because it was going to come full circle. And we were thinking, oh my God, oh no, he's gonna kill his own family, and we know this guy. We've been with him for the last 2 hours. One more unsettling moment, and I know I'm all over the place as I often am with all the spoilers, but that's part of the fun of it. Is when Blair Underwood's character, he says to his wife, "I'm coming back, you're staying in the kitchen." And I remember in the theater just hearing like a collective gasp, like, oh my God, like we know what's coming. And I think there's something to be said about the way the violence was handled in this movie. And I think just the undercurrent, and I've used that word quite a few times throughout this movie, but really that's what the violence in this movie is. It doesn't even need to be shown. And I think there was plenty of violence that was shown, but I think it all depended on the scene, and you didn't really need to see him kill his family at the end of the movie because it was already there in our heads, and I think that's what made it effective. But I did love how you couldn't quite figure out what was going on, why Longlegs, you know, what was it about him that made the fathers in these families like kill their entire family, and when you find out at the end that there is a supernatural element to it, then it all just makes sense. Alicia Witt. There was a reason I didn't really mention her in the non-spoiler review, and she is a very important character. She is the mother, and she's the one that made a deal to save her own daughter. And so with that knowledge, you understand why Lee Harkin had such a weird upbringing and why it affected her mentally like it did. Micah Monroe's performance in this was just absolutely brilliant, and Nicolas Cage is getting all the credit here, but man, I think her performance is just as good as Nicolas Cage's, especially if you compare this to like her previous roles in other movies, which she did a fine job. But I think she really takes it to the next level, like winning awards level. I think her performance was that good, and you know, I think an actor's toolbox, she could have played this in a few different ways. But I like that she kind of pulled back. She used restraint to sell her character, and I think it worked beautifully. It was hypnotic. Her performance was extremely hypnotic, and I wanted to know more about her. And I think to counterbalance off of her, the mother, played by Alicia Witt, I recognized her almost immediately. I haven't seen Alicia Witt, in Urban Legend. She was in Urban Legend, and I think she was a really good, underrated character in Urban Legend, but you only saw her pop up here and there in other roles. Or maybe she did TV that I just never caught, but I thought she was phenomenal as well in this. Up until the end, when she's like in the car and you see all the blood on her face and everything, she dove into this role head first and gave it her all. I think this movie really hinged on the performances. This is a movie about great performances and great direction, all coming together with a really unsettling killer. Nicolas Cage's face looked completely deranged and scary. I thought he looked very unsettling. I didn't lose sleep over this movie, but I guarantee you there are some people that are going to lose sleep over this movie. It does have some really creepy elements about it. And I think this movie scares you in a different way than say other scary movies might scare you. I saw someone online say, what director would you compare this to? Does it feel like an Eggers movie or an Ari Aster type movie? And I believe they mentioned one other director, and I definitely see like Ari Aster in this. And I think Osgood Perkins, he's just as good of a director as those other directors. He is right up there with them. Neon is really stepping up their game. I think they're pretty much even with A24. A24 is putting out a lot more. But Neon, I think, in terms of horror, they're right there. So yeah, that's all the spoilers for Longlegs. I am dying to see this again. I might have to go on Sunday and watch it again just to experience it, because this movie is an experience. And if I could recommend anything, guys, see this in the theater. I saw it in a really good theater, and it was just such a great experience. And I have a feeling that you can't replicate that experience. Seeing this at home is going to be great, but nothing can top just that feeling in the theater of watching this movie. It was amazing, and it is now my favorite movie of the year. It has surpassed Dune Part 2. It's that good. Let me know what you guys think of this movie. Most of you have seen this that are watching this video. I'm curious. I saw a lot of mixed opinions about it, which I like. I actually like polarizing movies. I think there's just more fun to be had in that way. So yeah, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day, and on Fridays, Rudy People Fridays. Follow me at Drum Domes on my socials. Support me on Patreon. Buy me a coffee. Become a channel member. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Drum Dome out.